Good morning, everyone. Today, we will look at one of the important topic in family relationships regarding the safety, physical as well as emotional safety. So I hope that all of you are safe from the present situation, able to manage your lives safely. Please wear mask and social distance, and then take care of yourself. Coming into the topic, we are looking at a topic where we are not talking about the safety related to the current situation of corona, but we are looking at it from a family perspective. So here we are with the topic effect of domestic violence and aggression on family and couple relationships, and the role of counseling. So domestic violence or aggression. So we have spoken about the aggression and effects of aggression and what aggression can do to oneself, to their family and health, etc. in our psychoeducation series. But here we are looking at it a little more detailed from the perspective of couple and family relationships. So around 20 to 50% of couple relations, there is some amount of physical as well as emotional violence and aggression, as the research supports. And almost 60 to 70% of couples who approach for marital therapy has a component of physical violence and aggression. So this shows how widely this problem is there, but it may not be always a kind of approach where couple take with this problem, since most of the times when there is a physical aggression, generally it is the police, legal, as well as the social services that come into picture, whereas the counseling or the reaching for a professional psychological help is usually either for a severe marital discord, or there is a kind of milder to moderate problems related to this kind of physical violence. So looking at what factors contribute this physical violence within the couple relationships. So here, looking at from the psychological perspectives, the kind of family background one is reared with. So we call it family of origin. A person, one of the partner or both the partners, when they are exposed as their growing up period to a kind of modeling, and they have learned that being violent or showing aggression is one of the way of solving the problems, and they think that it is legitimate to use aggression as a way of handling the relationships. So the family background factor, where they have grown up as seeing the violence in their families, could be one of the background factor affecting the relation, where they might think that violence towards the partner or children or is considered to be a normalized, or it is not such a big issue. So family factors can be one of the important factor here. And then factors related to gender. Generally, men are more into physical violence kind of a situation, whereas women report being or feeling aggressive equally, aggressive as equal as men. But it is usually the physical violence is more reported from the side of the male partners. So gender is one other factor, and other factors of personality. People who are having low self-esteem, or people who are having very poor social skills, and then having issues with impulse control, or people who are having an adult kind of attention deficit hyperactivity. In these neurological conditions, there can be, a kind of physical abuse or violence here. And usually the physical violence is also associated with the verbal kind of aggression as well. So personality factors can also be the contributing factors, but not the least, the situational factors, the kind of communication, the kind of conflicts that the couples have within themselves can also be, like I said in the beginning of starting the topic, that if there is a kind of long-term marital discord, there can be possibilities of having these kind of physical aggression as one of the possibility in families. So looking at from the psychological perspective, there are certain theoretical perspectives from a scientific point of view which can help the listeners to understand this problem in a much more deeper sense. Here from the psychological perspectives, looking at a social learning kind of a model. Here, like I also mentioned, that when during the growing up periods, if there is a modeling, or if the children are exposed to violence, are themselves exposed to violence, or seeing the parents as being aggressive with each other, can be a kind of a background where where they might be thinking that this is the way problems are solved. So learning by looking at the family and looking at the kind of approach that one take when there are frustrations, when there are conflicts between the couple or parents, this learning by observation, learning by seeing the family environment, and we call it modeling. So here there is a kind of modeling that happens to the children, where they think that it's all right that adults kind of solve the problems this way. And then these are the children, when they grow up into and then enter into their relationships, they might look at it as more as an acceptable kind of a situation. And then the more severe it is, and then they might even resort to kind of violence outside the family, getting into a kind of a severe terms with the, or problems with the legal, problems with the police, and outside social services are required here. So one of the perspective is a social learning perspective. The other perspective is the developmental approach. So as the children are growing up, as the children are moving forward, and then added more experiences of this aggression. So let us say a child is born with a kind of a temperament where the child is usually easily, making the other person, angry by being naughty. And then if the interactions from the environment also are from the negative, and then it might become like more worsen. And then the ongoing experiences of the exposure in the early family, as well as they are growing up in their developmental period, might make them think that it is all right to be aggressive. It is a way of expression, or it is a way of solving the problems, and it is not considered as something that is violating or being insensible to the other person's safety. So here, that is the developmental perspective. Coming to the combination of biological as well as environmental perspective put together, the temperament that the child is born with, where the child is more prone or attracting towards more of these physical or aggressive kind of behaviors, and then the environment is actually interacting in a much more supportive way. So here, both the biology as well as the environment is interacting with each other, where it is aggression is being kind of nurtured into a normalized kind of behavior. So looking at these perspectives, now we'll move on with the effects of this physical, emotional, as well as verbal abuse, especially in the spouse relationships. So spouse abuse is at once considered to be a kind of a private thing when there is a violence, physical violence or emotional violence between the couple. 20 years down the lane now, it is more considered to be a problem, not only from the counseling perspective, psychological perspective, also getting into more from the legal and police, where the kind of the perspectives change in the way of looking at it is also look at it as now something to be one of the important problem to be dealt with in a different way. So looking at most of the time, it is the victim, especially the women who are the victims here, and then when there is a kind of effect on their physical, mental health, and they are very prone for depression and long-term headaches and suicidal kind of behaviors. And then in counseling, if we are looking at only men as perpetrators, it is completely looked at it as very partial. There are research evidences where women are equally violent in their relationships, where where it can be as severe as physical violence. And then it is important that when a couple approaches for this kind of marital concerns, or when they are approaching with a specific problem of having these kind of physical and emotional aggression kind of situations, it is important for the professionals and the counselors to assess as to the different important indications, whether the couple therapy alone will help them, or there is a need for taking the support of other systems like protection, women protection cells, or systems related to legal and police and social services. So generally, the counseling is recommended for milder cases of these aggression, physical aggression between couple relationships. When it comes to more severe, it is the other services that come into the picture. So the women also, when they are getting into this kind of aggression happening in the families, then it is important that both the couple need to be looked at, not only the physical aggression part, if there are other additional factors affecting their relationship, like long-term marital discord, and sometimes it is lack of impulse control, or lack of social skills, or too much of other significant family members interfering into the couple relationships, and sometimes the personality disorders. All these need to be assessed before we actually look at how safe is the couple counseling. So when there are situations where the perpetrator or the person who is physically violent or aggressive is not convinced it as to be a problem, then the counseling may not be very effective. It is important that in counseling, when the victim is verbalizing the narration or the experiences, that the suffering that they are going through, the amount of tolerance that the person who has injured, or the kind of be it physical or psychological or emotional, verbal kind of injury, how much the other person, the perpetrator, is open to or tolerant to listen, is all these factors are important to consider counseling. So here, how much looking at the outcome, how much the counseling can be of use? Yes, like I mentioned, milder cases where the person who is supposedly injured are open to improve their quality of life and stop this kind of physical and verbal kind of abuse, and willing to learn or willing to change by learning impulse control or anger management, as well as social skills training, where when they have limitations in the social skills also, the kind of communication that they use is the physical aggression. The success of the counseling depends on how open the couple are, and also from the victim side, if the other person is also wanting to continue in the relationships. There are other factors of marital discord that need to be taken care, and only if the person who is physically abusive has to stop, even the other person has to stop. It is like a cycle. It's like a egg or chicken kind of a situation. It is more of a circular rather than a linear kind of cause and effect relationship. So working with the couple is effective when both the couple are willing to learn, be open, and try to relook at this model of sometimes if it is culturally, or it is a cultural belief that it's all right to suppress, or the woman or the children in the family, being the head of the family, it's the male person who has the authority, and physical violence is not something that an outsider can interfere with, and it's a private matter. So it's important, this belief need to be addressed in the counseling situation in order to relook at how they are crossing the safety limits of the other person, and how the relationship is trained. Not only the relationship is trained, even the children grown up in such family situations are getting into the same kind of cycle as they are grown up into adult relationships. So this is about the kind of physical safety, not only the physical safety, but the violent kind of relationship between the spouses, in between the family members, how it is affecting what counseling can do. Hope this short topic will be of helpful to some of you, and then look at it more from a point of a guideline for you to take care of yourselves if you are getting into these kind of situations. And I'll see you with another topic, moving on to cross-cultural marriages. So in the present scenarios, there are more cross-cultural marriages, and what kind of factors, situations, and adjustments required for these kind of marriages. We will look into it in the next after the next week or after 10 days. So have a nice weekend. Thank you.